11:10 in the morning, Hawaiian time on January 24, 2026, the earth beneath Kilauea's summit cracked open. Lava fountains erupted 1,575 feet into the sky, the highest recorded in the current eruptive cycle. Within hours, ash began falling on communities 40 miles away. But what monitoring data reveals about this episode has scientists watching their instruments with quiet concern. Episode 41 began without warning, marking the most intense display in Kilauea's current eruptive cycle. The United States Geological Survey Hawaiian Volcano Observatory detected the eruption's onset at exactly 11:10 a.m. on January 24, 2026. Lava fountains immediately surged to heights between 1,500 and 1,575 feet, nearly double the previous episode's 800-foot displays just 12 days earlier. The effusion rate peaked at 800 cubic meters per second, flooding Helemomo crater with molten rock in what became the most vigorous episode since summit activity resumed in December 2024. The eruption lasted 8.18 hours, ending by 7:29 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time the same day. During this brief window, Kilauea ejected 14 million cubic yards of lava, double the volume of episode 40 and more material than any single episode in the current cycle. The fountain's base stretched across the crater floor, creating a curtain of molten rock visible from monitoring webcams positioned around the summit. Ashfall began within hours, carried by trade winds across populated areas including Volcano Village, Hilo, and Pahoa. The National Weather Service issued warnings as volcanic tephra, including Pele's hair, those thin glass fibers formed when lava droplets cool rapidly in flight, drifted across highways and settled on communities up to 40 kilometers away. Despite the dramatic display and widespread ash distribution, no deaths, injuries, or missing persons were reported. The episode affected critical infrastructure across the Big Island. Parts of Highway 11 experienced temporary closures due to reduced visibility and ash accumulation. Sections of Crater Rim Drive and other areas within Hawaii Volcanoes National Park were shut down for public safety. Health advisories warned residents with respiratory conditions to limit exposure to volcanic particles that can irritate eyes, skin, and lungs. But that explosive display was only part of a larger geological process unfolding beneath Hawaii's most active volcano. Beneath Kilauea's summit, a shallow magma chamber operates through predictable cycles of inflation and release. United States Geological Survey tilt meters reveal the mechanism driving these episodes with scientific precision. Between eruptions, magma steadily accumulates in a reservoir 1 to 2 miles below the crater floor. This shallow summit magma chamber inflates over days to weeks before releasing pressure in brief, intense episodes, a pattern that has characterized Kilauea's behavior since December 2024. Yet understanding this cycle becomes crucial as scientists track signs that another episode may be approaching within weeks. Kilauea's 2018 eruption provides essential context for understanding current volcanic behavior, though the situations differ significantly. The 2018 Lower East Rift Zone eruption and summit collapse represented Kilauea's most destructive modern event, destroying over 700 structures and fundamentally reshaping the caldera. But that disaster followed a different pattern than current summit activity, involving prolonged magma drainage that destabilized the entire volcanic system. The 2018 event began when magma drained from the summit reservoir to fuel massive eruptions in residential areas 30 miles away. As the summit emptied, overlying rock collapsed into the void, creating the dramatic caldera expansion visible today. Families in Leilani estates and surrounding communities faced immediate evacuation as lava flows advanced through neighborhoods at walking speed. Jane Takahashi, whose home vanished beneath the flows, recalls the progression. "We had some warning from the scientists, but seeing your neighborhood disappear beneath molten rock, that changes everything you thought you knew about living with volcanoes." The eruption consumed 40 square miles of land, adding 540 acres of new coastline as lava poured into the Pacific Ocean. However, current conditions show no indication of similar developments. The 2018 collapse occurred after months of sustained magma drainage from the summit system. Today's episodic activity involves brief releases that don't significantly deplete the reservoir, maintaining the structural stability necessary to prevent collapse. Research suggests that while pressure buildup is part of Kilauea's normal cycle, it does not necessarily signal dramatic structural changes like those preceding the 2018 collapse. Instead, current monitoring data indicates preparation for continued episodic activity that poses manageable risks to surrounding communities. And now, as scientists track inflation patterns following episode 41, the data suggests this cycle will continue in the weeks ahead. Current monitoring data shows Kilauea's magma system repressurizing on schedule for another episode. Since episode 41 ended on January 24th, inflation measurements indicate magma accumulation has resumed at rates consistent with previous cycles. United States Geological Survey tilt meters show 8.0 microradians of inflation since the episode concluded, with 2.3 microradians occurring in just the past 24 hours as of January 27th. These measurements suggest episode 42 could occur between February 10th and 20th, 2026. The repressurization follows established patterns observed throughout the current eruptive cycle. Forecast models based on inflation rates and seismic tremor successfully predicted the timing of recent episodes, giving scientists confidence in their understanding of Kilauea's current behavior. Live webcams and satellite monitoring show no rift zone activity, confirming that magma remains focused on the summit system. Hawaii County Civil Defense continues conducting community needs assessments for residents affected by ashfall from episode 41. Local authorities coordinate with the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory for ongoing monitoring, while maintaining preparedness for future episodes. The National Weather Service issued ashfall warnings through January 25th, advising precautions for respiratory health in affected areas. Despite the dramatic visual displays, current risks remain relatively contained. Ongoing hazards include volcanic gases forming fog that can affect air quality downwind, residual tephra fall for 1 to 2 days following eruptions, and slow-moving lava flows confined within the crater. No evacuations have been ordered, and economic damage estimates remain minimal, with effects largely confined to the national park. The island's infrastructure has adapted to manage episodic volcanic activity. Water catchment systems vulnerable to ash contamination have protective measures, while highway departments maintain protocols for rapid ash removal from critical roadways. Tourism operations balance volcanic spectacle with safety protocols that have proven effective throughout the current cycle. Seismic activity remains low but includes intermittent tremor and micro-swarms, typical of magma movement in shallow reservoir systems. No flood or storm-related risks are tied to volcanic activity, and broader threats beyond the immediate crater area are not forecasted at this time. Because what happens next appears likely to follow patterns established over the past month of episodic activity. Despite sophisticated monitoring, Kilauea's behavior operates within normal volcanic cycles that scientists understand but cannot precisely control. United States Geological Survey researchers emphasize that current forecasting models work effectively for short-term episode timing based on inflation patterns and seismic signals. The volcano's behavior since December 2024 has followed predictable cycles that allow scientists to anticipate episodes within reasonable timeframes, though exact timing remains subject to geological variables beyond human prediction. Current monitoring indicates gradual magma repressurization beneath the summit that may lead to another episode in the coming weeks. However, research shows there are no signs of an impending caldera collapse, a rare event last seen in 2018 under completely different circumstances. The pressure buildup observed is consistent with preparation for another standard episode, as evidenced by inflationary tilt measurements and seismic tremor patterns. Structural vulnerabilities exist around the summit's caldera walls, which remain unstable due to past collapses and earthquakes. Cracks and rockfalls pose localized hazards near the rim, but current activity stays well within the crater boundaries. Geographic risks include proximity to populated areas like Hilo that experience ashfall during typical trade wind conditions, and the island's reliance on rainwater catchment systems vulnerable to volcanic contamination. The uncertainty inherent in volcanic systems affects communities differently depending on their relationship with geological risk. Most residents understand they live alongside active volcanic processes and have adapted their lives accordingly. Emergency management systems maintain preparedness without creating unnecessary alarm, recognizing that episodic activity represents normal behavior for one of the world's most closely monitored volcanoes. This represents a unique situation where scientific understanding allows communities to coexist safely with active volcanism. The monitoring network surrounding Kilauea provides real-time data that enables informed decision-making about risks and responses. While individual episodes cannot be predicted to the minute, the overall patterns give residents and authorities the information needed for appropriate preparation. The only certainty is that beneath the summit, geological processes continue operating according to physical laws that govern magma movement, pressure buildup, and episodic release. Kilauea communicates through measurable signals, ground deformation, seismic tremor, gas emissions that scientists interpret to understand the volcano's current state and likely short-term behavior. Each episode in the current cycle provides additional data for refining models and improving forecasts, contributing to humanity's growing understanding of how active volcanoes function in real time. Stay informed, stay prepared, and keep watching as science tracks one of Earth's most active geological systems.